Every couple of years over here, they've put together this mock DUI crash involving the deaths of young people and so forth, and we do it here at the Blackwell High School football field, and all the high school students are here, and many others as well, and it's an incredibly powerful and effective presentation. I'm really proud to be a part of it. Well, you can't ever gauge whether it actually helps, but I do think it gets through. What the kids don't grasp necessarily, all the kids know, everybody knows it's wrong to drink and drive, but what we try to do is kind of bring it home to them a little bit and make them understand that there are so many youths that die every single year from drunk drivers, and never a prom goes by, or a prom season anyway, that in the state of Oklahoma we don't see several people that die as a result of drunk driving, and we just want to convince these kids to have a safe prom and live safely, and we're not pretending that people aren't going to do certain things, but we certainly want to try to convince them not to drink and drive.
What you all just seen this morning is not realistic, but it's not in the way that some of you are thinking right now. It's not realistic because everybody involved here, you're going to see again, laughing and smiling, talking and walking. It's not realistic because we couldn't hear people in those cars screaming and moaning in agony, either from their own pain or from looking next to them and seeing their boyfriend or their girlfriend or their best friend or their mom and their dad laying there dead next to them while they can't get out. What wasn't realistic about this morning was not seeing not only police cars and fire trucks and ambulances pulling up, but mom or dad screaming up in their car, because as you well know, when something happens these days, everybody knows almost immediately. And so what's not realistic is seeing one of these officers having to hold mom or dad back from the scene while they're trying to cut out their kid who's hurt or dying or even dead. Those are the things that weren't realistic about this morning. And when we actually have a crash like what is depicted here, all those things are so very prevalent. All those things are the true trauma for people just like you guys. Drunk driving, or driving after drinking at all, because one of the biggest problems we have is people decide, well, I'm not drunk. Whether you're 16 or 18 or 30 or 50, people saying, well, yeah, I've been drinking, but I'm not drunk. I'm fine to drive. For most people, adults even, 4 to 5 beers is the most somebody can drink before they're illegal to drive. 4 to 5 beers, guys. And that's not very much. That's not very much for somebody who is drinking. But the reality of drinking and driving is that 17,000 people die in the United States every single year from alcohol-related crashes. 17,000 people. For some perspective, we've been in Iraq for the last 6 years. And in 6 years, we've had over 4,000 men and women die serving in Iraq. 4,000. And what we've seen and what you've seen as you've grown up from whatever age you were when we went to war over there till today, what you've seen is years of protests and people having marches and parades and being chapped off and wanting things changed, because that's too many people dying. And that's too many people dying every year. And people are outraged about that. But folks, we have 4 times that many people die every single year in the United States from something that every one of us can control. Every one of us, even if we're going to drink, can control whether we're drinking and driving. And just as importantly, you can control somebody you care about. Because it's not just on the person who does that. It's not just on the person who drinks and then drives. It's also on you if that's your brother or your sister or your friend. It's on you if you know they've been drinking and you don't do anything to try to keep them from driving. Because then if they end up over here dead, guys, that's on you. And that applies no matter who you are, what you do, or how old you are. But we don't stand up and we don't get outraged about how many people are dying every year. And forget the United States for a minute. 250 people die every year in Oklahoma from crashes involving alcohol. 250 people, and most of those, a huge number of those are young people, teenagers, or 19, 20, 21, 22. For whatever reason, a huge portion of those 250 every year are people your age or not much older. And folks, that's something that ought to matter to you guys. Not a year goes by in K County that we don't have somebody sitting in one of these groups, some high school student in K and Noble counties die from being involved in an alcohol-related crash. Every year, guys. And that means this year, somebody's probably going to, and as often as not, that happens around prom time. Everybody's having a great time. School's almost out. Lots of us are graduating. We're going to have fun. We're going to party. We're going to do all those things. Folks, more people die in Oklahoma every year, and in the United States for that matter, than all people who are murdered, total. All the shootings and stabbings and all the other things you hear about, and people being murdered, more than that are killed every year by drunk drivers. And that affects you guys. I'm not down here to preach to you. Nobody here involved today, the police officers, the firemen, your teachers and school staff that are here today, there's nobody here that's sitting here being naive about what happens or what's going to happen. Kids drink. Many of you do, many of you will. But that doesn't mean you have to drink and drive. Okay? The purpose today isn't to preach to you about you shouldn't do that, you know it's wrong, you know it's illegal. The purpose is to save somebody's life. And you can only do that if you make sure that you have designated drivers. You can only do that if you make sure you don't drive drunk and you don't get in a car with somebody who's going to. Every single one of you knows the truth. Every single one of you knows the potential consequences from drinking and driving. And you gotta be just plumb stupid to do it. You can have all the fun you want to, however you want to. A prom night, graduation night, whatever else. But you just got to be stupid to drink and drive. And that's just the bottom line. I just want to leave one last example with you. It hadn't been that long, about 3 years ago, since it wasn't prom, it was actually a Christmas dance night. In Ponca City were 3 seniors and 3 sophomores, all dates together. Went out and got plowed. They were plowed out of their mind by 6 o'clock in the evening. Heck, one of them was already passed out before they ever made the dance. Only they didn't ever get inside the dance because on the way there, they hit and killed a man on a bicycle. I want to tell you a little something about the fellow that was driving that car. He was a freshman in college when he went to court. He was an engineering major. In high school, he was popular. He was an A student. He was all those things that some people think you're supposed to be. Okay? And the bottom line is his dream was to be an engineer. And the day he was convicted of drunk driving and killing somebody, he can't be an engineer because you have to have a license to do that. And you can't get a state license if you've been convicted of a felony. Period. Spent a year in jail. Changed his life forever. And guys, neither he nor the people in the car with him that night were any different than any one of you guys. They're just out having a good time. Everything's great. Nothing in the world could go wrong except drinking and driving and killing somebody. And we just don't want that to be you. We don't want that to be you. We want you to go have fun. We want you to have a good time. We want you to enjoy high school. We want you to enjoy getting out of high school. But we want you to be smart too. It's simply not worth it. Don't drink and drive. Thank you.